Okay, well, welcome everyone to this month's mentorship meeting. I'd like to introduce Bernard Jones, Dr. Bernard Jones to be correct. Bernie works over at Ryan Specialty, but he has a very long and distinguished career in the BC field. He's worked for some of the top players such as Amazon, Johnson & Johnson. He's worked across all the industries, including banking, manufacturing, insurance, pharmaceuticals, medical. He's been in, kind of had his hands in a little bit of everything, and is a very dedicated professional, very passionate about what he does. But he also is an instructor, professor. So he teaches at Johns Hopkins, right?
St. John's.
St. John's, sorry, Johns Hopkins, the other one. So St. John's, same name,
Yep.
different location. But so he teaches at St. John's in the emergency management space, but does a lot of keynotes. He's a common guest speaker at a lot of different events. And I invited Bernie to come by because he works in the early career space a lot in the universities, but I think it has a lot of crossover for our early careers. We can get some of that non-military perspective of what the resiliency industry is looking for, what kind of things you need to know, and take the time to let everyone know Bernie here.
All right. Should I jump right in there?
Have at it. Thank you.
All right, great. So let me first say I've had the pleasure to work with Daniel for the last since end of January, and you can see my gray hair. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'll say this about Daniel: he's just been probably one of the best colleagues I've had in business continuity as a practitioner, and just I'm so happy for him when his new role. But we're going to stay in touch. We're going to be lifelong friends. But just a great colleague to work with. So I hope this presentation resonates with you. As Daniel mentioned, I'm pretty passionate about mentoring and early careerists, and I got a lot of information I want to share. These are kind of my advice and tips. I've been doing this 30 years now, plus, mainly on the private sector side. So I would love to hear how some of these things kind of shake out in the public sector, and definitely would love to hear your questions. I hope we should have time at the end for questions. So feel free to write those things down. Let's see. Let me get this going. So just an abstract, what I want to talk about today. We call the term early careerists. I got in trouble. I said young professionals when I first put this together. Man, I got slammed. Early careerists, what that means is those that are seeking to get into the resiliency industry space, and I'll talk about different career paths as well. And as Daniel mentioned, I'm a professor, so I'm mentoring and talking to students. I want to say I'm shaping that next generation of practitioners, so I'm really passionate about this. Love mentoring. And some of you have reached out to me actually already, which is great. So I always make time for mentoring. So this is going to be talking about early careerists. I talk about the tactics that you should kind of deploy when you're doing a transition. And this may apply not just to the resiliency industry, but just in general. So I don't want to say it's only resilience. That's what the focus is. But some of these tactics can help you if you're transitioning in other industries. And for me, the continued development and advancement of our practitioners, that's pretty important in my book. And as I mentioned on the third bullet, you got the ever-changing threats. We'll talk about that. That's the bad stuff. But we got so many great innovation and tools and technologies. That's the good thing. So those are all, they're ever-changing, which makes this type of stuff that we're doing really interesting. Just really quick, a little bit about me. I think Daniel hit them all. St. John's University, Queens, New York. Teach Homeland Security, Emergency Management, Business Continuity, and Critical Infrastructure Protection. Been doing this 30 years. Love talking at conferences, national, international. I got 4 conferences teed up in the fall: IAEM, DRJ, Continuity Insights in New York. So love talking, love networking. I think that's what this is all about. And I'm getting close to the end of my career here, so I want to go out being a mentor and helping the next generation. as you can see, a couple of research topics that I'm getting into that I'm really engaged with. And when my book comes out in September, please buy it. I'll tell you more about that. But so I like to write and stuff as well. So why should you enter the field of resilience? There's a lot of different, topics and thoughts here. So these are the things that I came up with. I'm sure you have already in a career that helps people, and it sounds so trivial, but helping people, with disaster preparedness and response, I think that's really important stuff. My son is going to be doing an internship with FEMA starting in a couple of weeks, and he told me, Dad, I'm really into wanting to help people, so I can't think of a better space than the emergency management space for that. But you got so many different career choices in resilience. You can go into DR, disaster recovery planning. If you got a real technical side, technical brain, you want to do that. I love business continuity because that's working with recovering and responding to impacts to people and process. So a little bit more social interaction, not that DR doesn't, but if you got a technical side, DR is where you want to go. Business continuity helps people and processes. And of course, you all know about emergency management, kind of boots on the ground, working with responding to situations, events, disasters. Really, really need more people involved in that. But I've done some work in risk management as well, enterprise risk management on the private sector as well. So when I get to the slide, I'll tell you about a few other career options. So there's a lot of different diversity in the resilience space. But my third bullet is important. I'm telling you, there's not enough people to fill open positions right now, and that's growing. So it's a space where there's opportunity. I tell people all the time, this opportunity. I hate to say it, there's opportunity because we have evolving threats, right? Things are still evolving and changing. And so it's a stable career, these different options, but it's evolving as well. So you're going to be challenged with some threats and things that are happening. But I'm telling you, there's not enough people to fill the spots, so it's an exciting career choice to make. So here are some of the choices I mentioned earlier. But so DR, if you like technologies, that's helping protect and respond to impacts to disaster recovery, infrastructure, technology infrastructure. Business continuity, I mentioned earlier, that's more about people and process. Emergency management speaks for itself. Interesting, critical infrastructure. Do you all know what that term means, what that is? I'm sure you've dealt with critical infrastructure. It's aging. I mean, bridges are crumbling, highways are, falling apart. We're having, cyber attacks on water treatment systems, on energy systems. So runs the gamut. Critical infrastructure is so important. It's kind of the lifeblood of our existence, right? When there's a major disaster with a critical infrastructure component, it affects many people. So there's kind of a niche there where we really need analysts and people to help devote time and effort to protect our critical infrastructure. Risk management, that's an element of business continuity. So that's always, going to be a career choice as well, whether it's private sector or public sector. And of course, cybersecurity. That goes without saying. The cyber threat is, minute by minute. When you look at some monitors, we're being attacked, left and right. Threat actors are coming from all walks of life, all different parts of the globe for different reasons. And interesting, climate. I can't tell you how climate change has been in the resilience discussion, but I go to conferences now, it's the leading discussion now. And I'm telling you, there's people that are still naysayers that say, like, that doesn't exist, there is no climate change, but it's impacting our ability to respond and be prepared for natural disasters. They're only going to increase. I hate to say it, they're only going to get more complex. So that's also kind of a career choice if you're looking in that kind of topic. So the good and bad, emerging threats and the tools, the emerging threats are the bad, tools and technology are the good. So cyber attacks, critical infrastructure failures, climate change, active shooter. I can't tell you how that's been on the minds of many, especially at the university and school levels. Not that that's only in those arenas, but how do we prepare for and respond to active shooter events? We just went through a global pandemic. Man, I hope we learned from that. That was a game changer on all levels. Have we successfully learned from that? Have we updated our plans? Have we changed our procedures? Some companies went out of business, weren't nimble enough to pivot. Others did better. Others thrived from it as well. So there's always that opportunity that you can thrive from disasters as well. And terrorism obviously is going to be on our minds and in our existence for I guess for going forward in the future. So these are the threats that resilience practitioners are going to be mindful of. And again, this list is probably going to continue to grow. I hate to make that statement, but we got some tools and technology that we can leverage now that will help us in our resilience practice. AI and machine learning. I, for one, just touching on this a little bit, I leaned toward Daniel when he was with us at Ryan. He was a whiz at this, really elevated my AI game. So I thank him for that. But that's a great technology. It could be disruptive as well. The bad guys get AI working for them. That's only going to make it tougher for us. But we can use AI to leverage our capabilities as resilience practitioners. You've already seen biometrics, stadiums, airports. That's going to be, technology. Hopefully, we can enhance its usage as well. I work a lot with my military colleagues here in New Jersey. They're doing some serious, important stuff with unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, as far as emergency management, response. So great technology in the hands of the good guys, right? Not the other way around. I haven't really gone into Internet of Things, IoT stuff yet, but if there's a MAC address in your device, whether it's your car, your refrigerator, that could be hacked, that could be exploited. So how do we get better security around that? And I'll end with technology. I'm in the business continuity space, so I like to say the systems that we use to do our planning, our testing, and all our things around doing business impact analysis or making business continuity plans, it's in software that's cloud-based. So that technology, I think, is also, evolving and getting better. All right, so the big slide. This is where I really want to spend a lot of time. Here's my advice, my tips, the things that I tell folks that want to get into this, what they need to know. And if these things sound familiar, you're already doing it, fine. But hopefully some of this stuff will resonate with you. Find a mentor. I got to where I am today because I had professional mentors as well as personal mentors to guide me. And I'm a mentor. You're going to get my contact information on the last slide. I want to say 24/7, but don't call me at 3 a.m., but call me whenever. I'll be glad to help. I love mentoring. Identify your passion and your strengths. Are you good with technology? Are you a people person? Do you like solving problems? Take those strengths, leverage them, and that's where you can make your career choice. I want to go into emergency management because I'm passionate about people. I want to help. I'm a people person. I have a great deal of emotional intelligence, empathy. But I'm a technology guy. I like to do analysis. I like to be in the back room. So maybe you want to go into some risk management or cybersecurity. So identify your passion, your strengths, and play to those. Continue your professional development. Like we're doing right now. This is awesome. The fact that you're here means you are devoting time out of your busy, hectic lives to continue to do professional development and to listen to guys like me and work with Daniel. So good stuff. Keep doing that. That's how you invest in yourself. That's how you can build your your expertise and your skill set. So keep doing that. Join resilience organizations. So you're part of DRI. There's a litany of organizations. They all have different strengths, different things that they offer. IAEM, the ACP, BCI out of the UK, ICOR, InfraGard. Maybe you're already in these, but I like to be in these organizations because I get the resources that they provide. Sometimes the fees are pretty nominal to join. You can get certifications. All that stuff is really good to keep you, focused and involved in resilience. And these organizations are built for that reason. They're here to provide that information. Seek to join a special interest group. So I would kind of say this is probably a special interest group here because you're focused on veterans and getting some mentorship. I've created a brand new early careerist special interest group, SIG, within the ACP, the Association of Continuity Professionals. And I just kicked it off, man. And like I said, I've already connected with some of you folks, and we're going to have some great programming and a great, process to get folks that want to be or who are early careerists to get them information and resources that they need. So I'll talk a little bit more about that on another slide. You may want to seek to continue your education. It's, if you're excited about data analytics, you're excited about AI, hey, I want to get a certification in business continuity. If you can hopefully you can get funding, but never stop wanting to learn more, man. And I'm an old cat and I'm still learning stuff. It's all good, but you may want to seek to kind of enhance your education and keep going. Big one, update and enhance your professional brand. The best vehicle that I know is LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, man, use it. There's resources there. There's groups you can join. Update your page. If something important happens professionally for you, man, that's where you want to say it. You want to do it there because you get wide reach. You want to elevate your brand. You want people to know about what you're talking about, what you bring. That's going to open up opportunities for you, employment opportunities, opportunities to speak and meet other people. So it's a great tool. It's that's how you can build your brand. If you're into research and publishing, why not pick a resilience topic that you are passionate about and kind of pull things together and put that together. If you decide to go down this road, I'm your man. Just give me a call. I can help you out. I can co-publish with you. That's another way to kind of elevate your brand. But this is all around passion. That's the second bullet. What are you passionate about? And that will drive your desire to stay up late at night and put something together or join a webinar and talk about stuff or even speak at a conference. So, the passion in you is going to drive a lot of the things that you're doing. Why not benefit by, telling the world, publishing, that kind of thing, kind of leaving the legacy. Tons of free training out there. So take advantage of free training resources. I know FEMA has tons of courses. That will enhance your skill set. And I like the word free. That works for me. So I try to jump on those types of opportunities. Okay, last but not least, seek advice from experienced resilience practitioners. So I think that's going to inherently happen if you join one of these organizations. And you got esteemed colleagues right here you can talk to. Never feel ashamed to reach out. Never feel ashamed to ask questions. I'm still asking questions. I'm going to continue to ask questions. That's how you build your knowledge. Never feel like you got to figure it out yourself. You got colleagues here. I talk to Daniel quite a bit, man. He helps me out a lot. And I feel I can do the same for him. So always seek advice from practitioners, educators, researchers. That's how you can build, again, your resilience acumen by doing that. Oh, last but not least, I had one more. I think this is already a given. You're already doing this, but definitely continue to monitor real life events. I mean, how many were affected by that little bitty global CrowdStrike issue that happened on Friday? Anybody affected by that? Just you can put up your hand. Okay. um, I mean, I got friends calling me. They're stuck in airports and stuff. I will say this. I don't know anybody at CrowdStrike, but I was surprised that the root cause of this, which was essentially bad code, was distributed to the end user. The end user was the globe. Whoever's got CrowdStrike on their systems. But back in my day, you did enough QA and testing, you would never let bad code get that far. But I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of what happened, but that was a complete shock. From what I'm hearing, it was the largest IT outage in history. Someone told me. So interesting. So research, keep up with real life events, just for your own professional, stance. All right. Switching gear. You know what? I'm going to stop there. I've been talking quite a bit. I got maybe one or two more slides. I'm going to leave this slide up. Any questions, comments? Are you doing this? Feel free to kind of let's have a little back and forth here, and love to hear your thoughts about some of these tips and advice that I'm talking about here.
I have a question. How do you obtain a mentor? How do you convince somebody to take out their time with you and to help you advance and to build that relationship?
Yeah, I think you just got to ask. And in like a guy like me, I like doing this. I mean, I'm passionate about it. You'll find someone that will meet you and will come and help you. You're right. I think it's extra work for people, but to me, if you're a mentor, you're in it, right? It's not like you're not there halfway. So if you can find someone, I've had folks in LinkedIn ask, to want to be mentors, or ask, or these organizations that I mentioned here on the slide, do you have mentorship programs and people that I can connect with? And those that sign up for that, honestly, I want to say 100% of them are there because they want to really be there. And they know that there is going to be some time that they have to devote to it, and they want to do it. So, and let me know. I'm here for you too. if you want to mentor in this kind of stuff.
Does
Awesome.
your special interest group, early careerists, do they like deal in that, like trying to connect people for mentorships and things like that?
I got to say, on the list of things, that's the number 2 thing. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Good to know.
What I can add to that, outside of the mentorship that we provide through the foundation, through DRIF, I'll say that throughout business continuity, you'll find that it's a very open and sharing community. And Daniel's a testament to that. He's grown his network just tremendously over the last year. And, he just reaches out to people on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'd like to understand what your organization looks like from your perspective of, business continuity. And can you walk me through what a day in your life looks like? And you'd just be astounded by how many individuals open up to him and say, hey, Daniel, I'd love to talk to you. Let's throw some time on a calendar. And, next thing you know, they're lifelong friends, just like Bernard. So don't be afraid to reach out to people on LinkedIn and find somebody you think is passionate about that area that, you're interested in. If it's the financial industry, if it's insurance, if it's transportation, or hone in on that.
And Keith, let me add to that. You brought up a great point about other industries. So I mentioned early careerists, and that's what this is all about. But I've established two additional SIGs within the ACP. One is healthcare, and the other one is banking and finance. And again, these SIGs are designed to have focus points, right? You want to have kind of a general focus. So the healthcare SIG will talk about resilience issues that impact their industry. So yeah, good point, Keith. Yeah, we're going to expand. This is our first year doing this. I think the next SIG that's going to happen will be a cyber, related SIG down in 2025. So, but yeah, depending on your industry, depending on your focus, you'll be able to hopefully find a SIG and or mentors that can help you, learn more about resilience in those different spaces.
Dr. Jones, good morning. My name is Chris Bigham. How are you, sir?
Doing good.
Good. So there's a couple things I wanted to discuss. I said you brought up some great points and some things that are out there that a lot of people hear about, but they don't really understand. I think you're tapping just the tip of the iceberg when you talk about these things, because it's so in depth and everything that you're talking about. And I agree with everything that you're saying. One aspect is the training. There's a lot of, like you said, a lot of free training out there, a lot of things that people don't understand. One of the things that you did touch on was actually for the critical infrastructure program, like our CIP. There's some free training out there that I've been pushing out for years and years and years, and it's all free training. It's held by TEEX. I think you've heard of that, Texas Engineering Extension Service. They offer that free training, and it's I think it's like 2 or 3 one-day classes and 2 two-day classes, and they're absolutely free. And you can get that CIP certification through TEEX, which is a really good thing to have, because most companies and most state and local entities are looking for somebody that has a CIP background. That's really huge in that. And so, like for me, I have the what's called DRI, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency training from back, and I add that to my CIP, and they're like, "Whoa, you got the gamut." So I said, "That's great." But then there's some other things. A couple slides before that, you had identified certain things, but I look at the emergency management, the cyber resilience. Those are all intertwined with each other, because we all use these things as a whole. And so you can have an event that's a cascading event where these things are all going to be intertwined. And so that affects companies on a global scale potentially, or just uniquely local, depending on how big your company is. But they don't understand how it affects from the person to the computer. And so I think that's a huge thing. The other thing was, what do you think about, and I didn't see it, maybe you did talk about it, I just got in a little bit late. What do you think about the crisis management piece?
Well, what do you mean by
how do you intertwine that into things that you just have been discussing as a separate career type?
Sure. So sometimes the words get blurred, emergency management and crisis management, but
Correct.
to me, crisis management, I see it's across, public and private sector, but in the private sector, that's an area that's so important, because, a crisis internal to an organization can have an incredible impact on the company's brand, on the company's image. Similar to emergency management, but crisis is, how do we what are those steps that we need to do to stem the tide and respond to or prepare for crises. It also means developing plans, crisis management plans. So I hate to say, the words do get intertwined. I think of crisis management as something that's more internal to an organization. Emergency management is a larger scale that affects, municipalities, communities, and things like that. So I would put crisis management on that list as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, same, more incident response, crisis management. It's the same thing, so I should
Thank you
update
very
the
much,
slide.
sir.
You got it. You got it. Thanks for all your points.
Absolutely.
Any other points? Like I said, I just got 1 or 2 more slides, and then we could do some more Q&A.
Yeah, I just have to second what Chris Bigham said. I've been working with him. He's been my mentor. This is Steve. And as far as the FEMA courses, emergency management, those courses are awesome. And a lot of the information overlaps. Excuse me. A lot of the information overlaps. So it gives you a better understanding. It's like, oh, okay, I learned that in this other course. It's very, very similar, but they have different methodologies and whatnot. And so it makes you a little more in tune of how to go about the different ways to deal with emergency management, business continuity, disaster recovery, things like that. So it's definitely a big plus. And the TEEX is something that Chris has given me information about, and I've registered for those courses and waiting for those courses to come up in order to knock those out. So if anybody hasn't taken these courses at all, I definitely recommend it. Definitely gives you a lot of good information.
Excellent.
Would it be possible to put the link or like the name of that organization and the cert in the chat?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do
It's
that.
just teeks.org. And if you need to call me to help you guys push down the envelope or down the rabbit hole, you can always give me a call if you guys want to put my name and number out there as well.
Good. So I'm going to pause here. I'm looking at the names. I see a bunch of rock stars here who have reached out to me. Please, if I haven't reconnected with you yet or have to reschedule, I will get there. I see Javier. Steve, we met already, haven't we, Steve?
Yes, we have.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I got got a lot of people kind of, contacting me, but I get to everybody, and I know I owe Lewis a call back as well. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for reaching out. We get connected, and we'll make some things happen here. So let me go to the next slide, and then we can again open it up for some more questions, and I'll give you some time back, Daniel, if we end earlier with my segment. Let's see. So I mentioned the early careerists. That's the thing I put together with the. I came back onto the ACP National Board, and this is what I'm devoted for. I'm not doing any other committee work but this. And again, I'm passionate about it. So the early careerist SIG, or special interest group, it's open to people that are in the ACP or not in the ACP. So you don't have to be a member. And I'll let you read that. That's kind of the high level what we're doing. Provides a platform for early careerists interested in business continuity and organizational risk and resilience industry. We do collaboration, we learn from each other, we share knowledge, as it was mentioned earlier, and we talk best practices. So just being in this can help you in your own skills set and enhancing what you know, but it also can help you if you're a practitioner already to get these resources and get this knowledge. So I just think it's a win-win if you can join in with us. We want to foster a community, and it was mentioned earlier, we share information, right? So we make a space in this community where people feel free to talk about things. We can discuss emerging trends, challenges, innovative solutions, and of course, risk and resilience. So that's kind of the high level, what we're doing. So here's some of the activities. Knowledge sharing, big time. That's kind of what this is. We all have different backgrounds. We may be working in different industries, different experiences. So sharing knowledge, I think we all benefit from that. We provide educational resources, as mentioned, a lot of free resources, but we have a litany of information on business continuity and emergency management within the ACP. So would love to share that, free of charge, no cost. Love networking events. I know we're all spread out, so typically they're virtual, but if I could engineer and I'm going to get some budget put together. I'd love to run a conference or a one-day workshop, and maybe I can move it around the different regions, but nothing like a networking event like we're doing right now. You can consider this networking, where you can talk to other people, like-minded professionals, practitioners, academics. Research and innovation. So we want this to be kind of a launching pad for anything that's innovative that we're doing. Wouldn't that be great to learn about building a dashboard of metrics, learn about using Power BI or Tableau to do some innovative data analysis? And again, learning that stuff in this forum, take that back to the job, you're a rock star, right? Hopefully you get that raise, that bonus, whatever. But again, we want to elevate your capabilities and to be innovative and do research. Like I said, since we're sharing knowledge, what a better place to kind of learn about new stuff. I'm trying to learn stuff every day. Mentoring is big, and we mentioned it earlier. We have folks in this particular SIG that they're devoted to do this, and that's again, I think the biggest benefit is to help those that want to learn more about what we're doing. And last but not least, there's also opportunities to take on a leadership role. If you join the special interest group, maybe you want to be one of the committee chairs, or maybe you want to take on a project. That's all great stuff. It's great experience. It goes on the resume. How important would it be to show a prospective employer that you led some huge initiative on disaster management or disaster preparedness, where you led a group. So anytime you can have a leadership opportunity, that's something that will enhance your brand. So that's the SIG. That leads me to my last slide, probably the most important. Thanks so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention today. I mean it when I say it. I put this information here for a reason. If you want to reach out, and again, I got some callbacks that I got to make for some of you folks. Yeah, it's important in my world to continue to educate, mentor, and kind of reach out and engage with the next set of practitioners. And that's a fitting way for me to end my career in this. I'll still be doing stuff, but definitely reach out. If you got questions, comments, need some help, resume, whatever, and I can, I'll facilitate and help as best I can. And again, I set up time for me to do this, so I'm a busy guy, but I really enjoy this work. So let me pause there again. Any other questions for me, or any other thing I can expand upon?
I have one last question for you, and this comes up quite a bit on our forums. We have a lot of service members that are relentless with their pursuit of additional training, and I'm all about that. Free education, free certifications, and whatnot. I really applaud that. And I think that the knowledge is probably the most important aspect of it. What do you do with that knowledge? But what would you say is a word of advice as far as striking the right balance with what you're putting on your resume? I mean, we have people with, PMPs, we have people with, all these different things, but at what point does it become too clouded when you're adding too many letters after your name on your resume because of all the certifications that you hold?
Mm-hmm.
How do we strike the right balance, and what advice would you give to our mentees on that?
Sure. So I have
Bernie,
advice there. Yes.
share that from your experience when we just did a major hiring push for that new role at Ryan.
Oh, what do you mean
Yeah, I'd say put some of that into it, because that really puts perspective to what you've been a hiring manager. So
right.
like from that lens, I would say answer that question.
Sure. So I'll use that as well, but my angle was going to be this. So I'm all for certifications and having the titles and such, but I think the mistake that's made in a resume, for example, you got a litany of these things. If you can't clearly articulate how you use those things in the tasks that you did or things that you accomplished in the resume, I mean, specific, like if you got PMP, I better see in there you did something significant in the practice of project management. So great to have all the names, great to have all the titles, and you've earned those, for no doubt. That's important stuff. But as Daniel mentioned, we just did some interviews. I like to probe and see, like, what did you do? What did you accomplish? Maybe what are some of the challenges that you overcame in doing what you were doing? We as interviewers for roles, I like you to articulate what you did. And I can see by the body language, and I can see by the person's face, I could see if it's really poignant and it really matters. So I'm all for certifications, because to me that shows commitment. It shows that you were proactive. It shows that you really care about expanding your knowledge and using these certifications as a means to broaden your skills. But to Daniel's point, when you get in front of when you're being interviewed, hopefully that you have a robust resume that shows specific things you did that can articulate those certifications, and then be prepared to tell the interviewer, I did this, was relevant. It saved the company this. It pushed the needle, whatever. It's not just I did a task and I got it done. I did a task, but this is what came out of that. I saved the company X, or because of my efforts in this project, we were able to recoup Y. Like, those are tangible, credible things that you did that demonstrate the certifications, and you proving to the interviewer, like, wow, hearing that, I'm like, I want this person, right? So I hope I answered it.
Yeah,
And
no,
Dan-
it
yeah.
makes sense, and you bring in a different aspect that I wasn't looking at, and really just talking about being prepared to speak to those certifications that you hold. For me, when I left the military, from when I retired from the Air Force, my resume had like certified anti-terrorism officer, and my boss at the time, who was helping me transition, was like, "What does that have to do with you working at a bank?" And I was like, yeah, maybe not. And so I mean, there was all these certifications I had on there because, and I talk about this all the time, is in the military we have a lot of hats that we wear,
Mhm.
and we've gotten used to doing more with less. And as a result of that, we have 6 additional duties, and they're all important. Maybe one is like an emergency management duty that would pertain, right?
Right.
And you have like a FEMA certification or a FEMA course that you took. I have to be careful how I say that because Chris will jump on me on that one. But um, anyway, I just find that sometimes you can cloud your resume with putting on there some things that they're not looking for. You just have to find specifically what that company is looking for, and then
Right.
being very strategic about what you place on there, because it can get confusing. And that was kind of where I was going. And I certainly find that, to Daniel's point too, if you have a PMP, that shows a lot. That means that you can manage projects. I think that weighs in heavily, just because, if you're working in a business continuity job, they might not need you to run a project or be a project or project manager officer, but it certainly shows that you have a capability to handle a lot of things. So anyway, I
Right.
digress.
It's fine. No. The last point you made was a good one. I was going to talk about that. The fact that you said you juggle a lot of things, wear multiple hats, that's important for the employer to know that, because that shows a lot about your capabilities, right? If you're able to manage that kind of a world, that's actually a good thing. Nobody wants to be in a world where it's a lot of things are going on, but I would turn that around and make that like a strength, something that's a positive, and that's something that employers like to see, that you're able to manage through a lot of different things and you can wear multiple hats. Nobody wants to wear multiple hats, but the fact that you've been able to do that, you should demonstrate that or talk about that. That's a plus.
I think there's a big misconception across the not public space, the private space. The military has a lot that they offer into the private entity. Keith, and I know Daniel and I have talked about this many a time. So I'm going to use an example. Chief of Operations, right? That's my title that I have in the military, right? I was known as Chief of Operations. I'm just using that title. What does that mean out in the private sector or public sector? Doesn't matter. The fact is that if you explain it like Dr. Jones has explained, Chief of Operations, that could be a litany of things under that one title that the military is given, and it is synonymous with the private or public sector. It's how well you write and how well you put together that process that will actually make them go, oh, that's what you've done. That's how you explain it. How does it apply to, and I'm going to say, the banking industry? How does Chief of Operations apply to the banking industry? Well, it does this, this, and this. Or resource advisor. Well, what does that mean for 2 cents on the outside. Well, Resource Advisor does all the budgeting, programming, and management for all funds going into the business comptroller's office. Oh, you work with a comptroller now. That's huge because they want to know you're working with another entity. That's going to be huge on the banking side. Does that make sense, folks? I hope I'm touching a little bit
Absolutely.
on that.
Yep.
So it's not that it's how well you explain it and how well you put down, just like Dr. Jones has said. I agree.
Yep. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Hey, Bernie, why don't you share some of the struggles that you've had or you've coached your mentees through where they were trying to break into the industry. A lot of our audience is, trying to translate what they've done in the past to what they're doing now.
Right.
So they're new in the field, or maybe they feel confident, but what kind of challenges have you or your mentees faced, and how have you leveraged your those challenges?
Sure. So it's interesting. I don't think anybody ever set out to be a business continuity practitioner. It's typically, in my experience, I was in DR initially. I worked at ADP many years ago, big mainframe shop, and I did DR disaster recovery work for them. So when business continuity came around, some
Don't
of the
tell them about
challenges.
the tapes. You're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
tell them about the tapes. You can show the age.
Oh no, well, yeah. Oh boy, tape backups. We used to go to get the tapes from Iron Mountain, and then go to SunGuard in Philly and hang tapes for a weekend, and it never worked. Anyway, so
NASA did the same thing. They use tape drives all the time.
tape drives, yeah. So some of the challenges initially in continuity planning to overcome were, I was there early on, right? So when it was just kind of starting. So getting our heads around what business continuity really is, separating it from disaster recovery and IT. In the minds of many, like business continuity and DR are the same thing, the same word. I still face that today, when you're talking to business leaders. So getting some of the challenges were just learning about it. I think what helped me was getting into these professional development organizations, getting my certification. That's huge as far as breaking in. I know it's a big commitment. There's an investment there, but I think the challenges I had, I think I was able to get through them because I had some mentors. I had people kind of guiding me. No LinkedIn back then, so it wasn't easy to get a hold of people. But building your network, again, I think I mentioned, playing to your strengths, getting your passion around one of these areas, and then using that as the launch pad to research, connect with mentors. It's a beautiful field to be in. Still evolving, ever changing, very interesting, very diverse. But I would say if you hit a roadblock, you hit a certain challenge, you're not getting information that you need, you feel like you're kind of stuck. I think that's where reaching out to folks like on the call here, reaching out to your mentor to kind of give that guidance. So I've had some challenging bosses in the past. I think that was been one of my challenges. You can never kind of learn more or know more than the boss sometimes. It kind of puts you in a bad position, but you can work your way through those things too. So I hope I answered some of your question there, Daniel. Sorry if I got rambling there.
I have a question. This could be for anybody. How do you guys see AI playing a role into the future of DR and BC? For like, is it more of a tool in people's eyes or more of a threat? I just wanted to get a little bit of information on that. If anybody knows.
I think it could be both. I think it
Yeah.
can be an asset or a threat. I think we have to closely monitor it. It can be an extremely useful tool. I think it will really change our space in business continuity, how we conduct our BIAs and our BCPs. It will help us automate a lot of processes, but again, we can't just give it carte blanche access and control. We have to closely monitor what that outcome looks like and what those effects are, because if we don't, then we could have all kinds of anomalies in there that could be slightly malicious. And it's only as good as who's actually writing the code, right? We need to understand who's originating some of this and what's their intentions. So I think it's going to continue to become dynamic as it starts to evolve. But I think that's my piece on that.
And
I
who asked the
also-
question? Who asked the
It
question?
was me, Alex.
Alex, so great question. I just wanted to add, I'm going to be going to presenting at a conference in September. There's going to be 2 huge sessions on that. So let me get some information back to the whole team. Your question is a good one. And it's more about how AI is evolving within business continuity. And I'm excited to see that one. So I'll share that with all you guys when I, come back. So
Definitely
I'm
looking
sorry
forward
I
to it.
cut somebody off. Awesome.
No problem. I was also going to add, I think Keith just touched on it, it depends on how well you're running to get your plan, because if you were developing a plan and you put it out there onto the AI platform, whatever AI platform you want to use, thing is, it's only good as how much it's been put together by others for you to digest that information. Because my plan is going to be totally different from Keith's, totally different from Daniel's, totally different from Bernard's. I think that's going to be the crux of the problem, because one, it's not cookie cutter. It's absolutely not cookie cutter, because if you use it as a cookie cutter for this, then you're going to have a problem. Now, FEMA puts out a cookie cutter thing that this is what we're looking at. This is what we're doing for FCD 1 and 2 and the CGCs. That's great, because that's what the federal agencies, and that is their requirement. But again, we may not use all, and I'm using a number, 56 steps in that cookie cutter. I may only have 25 in what I want for my private entity. That's it. I don't have to report. I don't have to do anything other than this is what I want for my COOP plan. And that's, you got to be very careful on how you present that and what you input. And remember, whatever you put out there on the web is no longer yours. It belongs to everybody else. So be careful what you put out. Don't put company names on there at all.
And Chris, you bring up a really good point. When you send out that AI to scour data, it's only as good as the data that's out there, right? So if you have a bot that's out there and it's canvassing the entire internet, I'll give you a perfect example. It's like, hey, draw me a picture of Daffy Duck, and maybe there's some pretty obscure drawings of Daffy Duck, and it's going to get pulled in by that data pool, right? So where I'm going with that is it's only as good as the data source. If it's internal, external, that's you have to understand that some of that data could be compromised, and as a result of that, you may not be getting a good product. So you have to be cognizant of that. Sorry if I dove too far into that.
That was
I'm
great.
just going to say, drop the mic, Keith.
There you go. Daniel, I had a question. I'm going to respond back to the meeting invite. Can I attach my PowerPoint? And I'm not sure. It's going to go to careerspace@veteranbcp.omni on Microsoft.com. Or can I just send it to you?
You can shoot it to me.
Okay, you got it.
We take all these videos, we record all the videos, and I put the PowerPoints in there with it, and we put it onto our Google Drive, so all the program members have access to see it.
All right, it's on its way right now.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Great, I think we're at time. Thanks so much, Daniel. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak, and great questions, great dialogue, and look forward to reconnecting with some of you. Some of you are going to reach out to. You've already reached out to me, but let's keep the discussion going, and happy to help in any way.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Jones. Thank you.
Nice
All
to
right.
meet you, and
Thank
nice to
you
meet
everyone for your
everyone
time.
else.
Enjoy. Take it easy.